As some of you may have already guessed from a few hints, namely from my dress or my attire or from the little advertisement on the page. This is a presentation will dwell on, first of all, ponies. Yes. And I am reasonably convinced that most of you here know intuitively to what I refer with my usage of the word the ponies. Yes. Certainly not the real things, certainly not the, the things that gallop on the meadows, etc. And the little girls love them. Well, they love these things. Not the real things. We are talking here to get things absolutely certain for everyone. By the way, remind me with some sort of signal if you fail to grasp my articulation, if I speak too quickly or incoherently. I sometimes the fact escapes. But in any way, I was saying these ponies are, how to introduce them? Yes, they are a product of my, product of Hasbro, of the franchise My Little Pony, of which this is the, I believe, my memory serves, the fourth generation of My Little Pony franchise, known by its surname, Friendship's Magic. It aired in 2011 and gained quickly phenomenal success. I repeat, phenomenal success. Not only among little girls of age 5 onwards, but also among a certain age group of adult men. Yes, adult men, some of which work in universities and study philosophy, for example, in Tampere. But no more of that, yes, that is what we are referring to when we call the name ponies upon the stage. Second of all, this presentation will be about Derrida, Jacques Derrida. A man who surely requires no greater introduction than the ponies deserve. For surely everyone here knows the name of Jacques Derrida, the famous French philosopher who basically invented postmodernity. Although he hated the word himself. He always said, no, I'm not a postmodernist. Anyway, Jacques Derrida. And more precisely what we will be discussing from Jacques Derrida's magnificent and very large oeuvre is a certain question of the gift, which we will talk about more later. But before that, why ponies? Why Derrida? Why even bother oneself with such a apparently random, arbitrary concoction of things? Well, I don't have a precise answer for you. Let me be completely frank with you. I don't have an answer, a good answer, why one should bother with this mixture in the first place. Other than obviously that I like ponies and Derrida, yeah. But instead of a really, really fundamental answer to this question, I would rather point out a few themes, or rather a theme that has occupied my interests for a while, which is to make philosophy with popular culture. And I mean, by philosophy, I mean serious philosophy, the kind that you study in the university, of which you make theses and articles, etc. The science kind of philosophy. How to make science with this seemingly innocent, childish little ponies. Yes. And why should one do that? Well, very briefly again about this topic, which I will not be discussing as such today, but which I feel needs to be justified at least a little bit. So everyone knows that philosophy and literature have been bedmates since time immemorial, since Plato wrote his dialogues. Everyone knows that. But few know that actually philosophy has been flirting with popular culture recently also. In addition to literature, that is. Everyone knows Slavoj Zizek is very famous of his tendency to explain and to explain his philosophy psychoanalysis through popular culture. For example, a few movies. Lynch movies are a big thing for him. So why not ponies? I asked myself one day. Why not these sweet little ponies? If they're good enough for bronies, why not for Derrida? So there is some reason to why we should be doing it. Although those reasons are not very clearly articulated in this document. But anyway, to get on with the show, to get a little bit more excited. Come on in, please. Seat yourself.
There are still chairs here.
Indeed there are. Feel free to take it.
Everyone's too shy to sit here.
Don't worry, don't mind me and my black bench. It's completely safe. It's completely safe. So what we are precisely talking about here, I mentioned a certain theme of the gift from Jacques Derrida. And indeed I intend to pursue that theme with a certain episode in mind. An episode of my little poem. Episode's name being The Gift of the Modern, of which we will discuss later. Second of all, I will try, after reading into this episode, I will try to offer another reading with Derrida's work called Given Time. Try to read these two how would you say, artifacts or objects side by side to see how they play with each other. And then to try to form a sort of coherent discourse or narrative around them. And thirdly, well, that's a working title, we're going to have an impressive finish. Indeed, a working title. Anyway, those are the 3 moments we will be now diving into. Oh yes, Fluttershy agrees, of course, she's on board with all this. Why wouldn't you be? Right. There will be more ponies ahead, because I would not miss such an opportunity to insert ponies for all the thing. If I was going to hold a lecture about ponies and Derrida, you can rest assured in that. But first of all, the gift. Well, the episode under discussion can be found from the 6th season on place number 3. It's the 3rd episode of the season 6 of this franchise. And as it happens, as it occurs, this episode as such and by its name is a reference to another story. Written by O. Henry, an American author and novelist from the turn of the 19th and 20th century. He died in 1910. The story is called The Gift of the Muggy, written in 1905. And this episode, its authors have said publicly, yes, they have said that this episode is an open reference to that story. Which is kind of surprising when you come to think of it, because it's no little story, and O. Henry was no little author. It's surprising to see that these authors chose to have this conscious reference to this adult novel in a child's series. So, naturally, we're first going to, before going to the actual episode, we're going to see its forefather, or grandmother, whichever gender you choose to prefer. And yes, we're going to have a few quotes, have the story told briefly by me for you to see, to pave the way for the actual episode. So the first words, that's pretty small, kind of small, but I hope you can read it. The first words, the first paragraph of the story, The Gift of the Muggy, starts with counting. The story about the gift starts with counting, which is already as such very significant. We will not say yet how so. It starts with counting. It starts with counting. As you can see from the bolded red line. 3 times Stella counted. There simply was not enough money for her to spend for a Christmas present for her husband. Simply not enough money. So this is how the story starts, and it's really a short story. It takes about 10 pages or so, and I recommend you to read it whenever you can. In any case, the story is really uneventful, as the author says himself, and it's about Stella trying to find the perfect gift with the littlest amount of money for his husband. And of course he can't find it because he wants to give the best gift, yes, because he loves his husband so dearly, but he simply has no means to afford it. So eventually, at the culmination point of the story, or the first culmination point, she goes to a barber shop and gives the most precious thing to her hair. Her hair, to the adoration of which O. Henry spends like 3 paragraphs. He says, it was like golden meadow. So you can imagine the language. It was really a good hair. And she gives it away for $20, with which she buys a chain. A chain for what purpose? For his husband to wear his watch, his grandfather's watch, which is as such not only a kind of valuable object as such, per se it is some silver or something, but it's especially dear to him, as dear as the hair was for Della. So she buys a chain for his watch. And that's pretty much how we get to the end paragraph. Not quite yet. The punchline of the story, so to speak, the final twist is that, well, Della is at home waiting for his husband, her husband to come. Will be anxious of how will he love me now when I'm old. Yes, but eventually the man comes, yeah? And of course he's stunned, but not first of all because she would not be pretty anymore, but because he had also brought a gift. He had also bought a gift. A set of combs, luxurious combs for her hair. And it gets better. He had, because he was poor also, he had purchased these combs by selling his watch. By selling his grandfather's watch. So we end up with a complete disaster, which Christmas is then to end up usually. Complete disaster. 2 people loving each other have sacrificed the most valuable things for each other for essentially no benefit at all. The donors, the gift receivers, can't do anything with their gifts because they don't have any more the other objects with which to enjoy those gifts. But still, it's a happy ending. Don't worry, it's a happy ending still. They end up loving each other despite all this, despite disaster. And at the very end of the short story, the narrator, who has thus far been silent, enters in, and this paragraph is shown reading. Yes. It's kind of a mysterious paragraph, yeah? Because as we know, the story is titled The Gift of the Monkey. So implicitly it would be asking, what is the gift? What is it that the monkey, the 3 wise men from the Christmas story of Jesus Christ, what is their gift in this story? Well, he never says it, not explicitly, no. He only says that these 2 children, as he calls them, these foolish children, these are the wisest. The wisest among those who give gifts. They are the wisest. He says it 3 times. 3 times. They are the monkey. So, first reading of this episode will follow when we have gone over the second episode. Or rather, the first reading of this story will follow when we've gone over the episode. Yes, because as I said in the beginning, you might not remember anymore, these stories link together. They share the same sort of thing. So the theme. You would think that the lesson here between these stories would be the same. So we will try to see if these little ponies can teach it to us. Yes. This story will be told in pictures, because it is an animation after all. So it starts with 3 friends who are on a trip to a large city, Manhattan, spelled M-A-N-E. M-A-N-E, yes, Manhattan, you get the joke. And two of those friends are the ponies, which is awfully small, I didn't realize it. Yeah, the two ponies of the tree, the one closest to the shop window in that picture, and the one next to her, or the pink one. They are sisters, and they have this established convention to buy gifts for each other once a year. Buy very good gifts for each other, as a sister thing. And they have taken another friend of theirs, a common friend, along to a great city where this event will take place. And, well, the pink one, whose name is Pinkie Pie, she has a problem. She has a problem because she needs her friend's help to get this gift. She has planned the gift to her sister, but she needs sort of a distraction, yeah. And in this distraction, she needs her friend's help. Her friend's name is Rari, by the way, who is, as a side note, I must say, an element of generosity, represents the element of generosity. So it's kind of nice symbolic that the one who wants to give gifts prays to the element of generosity. Shows you can give the best gift. But anyway, I think if we were to stuck to side notes, we would be here all day. But finally, Pinkie Pie finds the perfect gift, this pouch, for the purpose of which I don't see fit to explain right now. Anyway, she finds this perfect gift, but it turns out it's all sold out. She can't get it from anywhere. Except from one pony, the yellow pony right there. She happens to have one, and he's willing to let it go on one condition. She wants the most precious thing Pinkie has, which is her cannon, her party cannon, which he uses to have parties. And I realize that most of this must sound very obscure for anyone who hasn't actually seen it. But bear with me, use your imagination. So she has this precious thing, which she now must change to give the most precious thing as a gift for her sister. And a sacrifice, high as it is, costly as it is, she ends up doing it. She ends up doing it because she really wants to give her sister the gift. There is no doubt about her true intentions there. But Maud, which is the sister's name, the grey pony there, finds out about this, that her sister, what has she gone, what has she went on and done? She has simply given too much, because it's plain in the series that this cannon really is precious for her sister, and Maud, of course, is saddened to hear that her sister, Pinkie Pie, had to go to such great lengths to give this. And when she learns the truth of this from Rarity, from the friend, a friend of the sisters, she immediately goes on to try and revoke the trade made, to change the pouch back for the cannon. Even though she did like the pouch, yeah. Let's remark that. And they end up reimbursing the cannon, and it's a happy end. We get the Mona Lisa smile at the end. Even though it would seem that Pinkie has not given any gifts in this story. She has simply received 2 gifts, yeah? Pinkie is still a little bit sad because, yeah, it was supposed to be a reciprocal day. Both give to each other. Both give gifts to each other, the 2 sisters. But it ends up that she gets a gift, the regular gift from Maud, and she also gets her cannon back as a second gift. So she gets 2 gifts, while it seems that the sister gives none. But, and here comes the lesson of the story, which I also believe to be a lesson of O. Henry's story. It's a little bit explanation, but as Maud puts it, Pinkie, gift giving is not a competition, it's an expression of love. And because your gifts are always given with lots of love, I will always cherish them, I will always love them forever, which is even more than forever. So it would seem that the gift, according to these two stories, it's not really about the thing given. It's not about the thing given, the object exchanged between two persons. It's more about the intention. And I must emphasize this word, intention. If that's true, if the person really showed that it is an expression of love what they give, that's the gift. So the gift would be defined by this very short interpretation of these two stories as the intention to give. In the end, it's not the thing that is given, but the intention. As long as it's true, the gift is also true. Okay, fair enough. I'm sure we can all subscribe to that. What has Derrida to say about it? So now we will move on to the domain of the given time, in French, donner de temps, which was published on the year I was born, as it happens. But, well, as with all works by Derrida, there's more than one thing going on in this book. It's not just what is a gift, it's also what is time, what is an event, what is impossible, what is the impossible, actually, the impossible. There's a lot of things going on. And I'm not trying to even say what else is going on, except the question of the gift. What is a gift? And is there a gift? But I will rather focus on, in this time and place, on three questions. First of all, what is a gift? Second of all, is there a gift? Is there really ever a gift? And finally, what gives? Yes. As everyone knows, only philosophers ask questions everyone already knows the answers to. What is wisdom? What is love? What is a gift? Come on, man. You claim to be a professor and asking this question? Don't you know already? Well, the thing is, of course he knows. Everyone knows what is a gift. At the beginning of the book, Derrida says it pretty clearly. Let us suppose, and by the way, since I would love to burden you with all this text, which you would have to wade through while listening to my erratic talk, I will help you by giving this little pony to rest your eyes upon. Yes, keep your eyes on the pony. I will not even try to read the quote to you, but I will pick what I think is most important about it. Okay, so pony will help me with this. Okay, so let us suppose, yes, that someone wants to or decides to give a gift. What do they do? Well, naturally, he says here essentially what I said earlier was the lesson of the two stories, that someone intends to give something to someone, and it's intends to give that he emphasizes here in italics. It's what matters. It's the intention in this triangle. It says it pretty plainly that because everyone to ask what a gift is to ask a tautology. Yes, there are three moments, just as in a very elemental discussion of time. There are three moments: the past, the present, and the future. We have in the case of the gift, we have the donor, the gift, and the donee. That's there, doesn't it? So there's three simple elements, and that's the gift. And the binding thing being what the binding thing or what the separating moment of this triangle is in relation to another triangle, the triangle of exchange. Okay, that's a very complex sentence. What I'm trying to say is that what separates gift from simple exchange, everyday economic exchange, from a person going to shop and buying things. There too, there is the shopkeeper that bought the thing, and then the person buying it. So there's money given. So, but this is not a gift, obviously. We do not call it gift giving when we go shopping. So what is it that separates the gift from exchange, trade, economics, etc.? Well, obviously the intention to give. But and this is where things get a little bit tricky. What separates the gift from exchange, according to Derrida, and according to him, the general logic, general semantics of the gift, is that the gift must not ever come back to the receiver. Not to the receiver, to the donor. It must not come back to the donor. In other words, the triangle must not turn into a circle. The gift must be pure, honest. It must not be given with the intention of receiving something back. Perhaps some money or something. It must be pure. As it happens, circle, as Derrida says, is one of the oldest representations of time. Time is a sphere, time is a circle. But again, I'm not going to even try to go into the question of what Derrida says about time, because what he says about gift is obscure enough. So, we have a triangle that tries not to be a circle. But what Derrida is trying to do is he's going to put up what's the name? Square, yes, a square. To square things off, as it happens, with this dichotomy, we could say, the dichotomy of the circle and the triangle. He's trying to square it off with a square. But what the important thing must be remembered here is he is constantly in this book questioning, putting to question the difference between gift and exchange, and asking all the time if there is any, where it is, if there is any gift. Almost every time he writes the gift, he writes if there is any. Every time. It's very annoying. He does it anyway. So is there a gift? If at stake here is the question, what separates the triangle, the gift pure intending, from the circle, from autonomy? Well, that's pretty strict. Again, the pony. Again, the pony to keep your attention from this long and arduous and laborious quote. So, he's pretty strict about it, this intention. When he says it must be pure, he really means it. What he says in the first line, if there is a gift, the given of the gift, that which one gives the object, yeah? If there is such a thing, it must not come back to the subject, to the donor. It must not circle around. And at the last line, yes, he says that the gift must remain foreign to the circle. It must keep a certain relation to the circle. It must keep a relation of foreigness. And this is where things start to get kind of tricky. Because it's precisely in trying not to be a trade, a sort of an economic affair, precisely in trying not to be that, the gift turns out to be impossible. And the great claim, we could say the basic argument Derrida is trying to pursue here in this book, is that the conditions of the possibility of the gift are at the same time, simultaneously, its conditions of impossibility. Yeah, but what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? Well, he says, and again, I must beg you to read really only the folded line. The rest is mostly for me, but of course I can't stop you from reading it. So the simple intention to give, insofar as it carries the intentional meaning of the gift, suffices to make a return payment to oneself. This is huge. It's pretty much the whole book, sum it up in one sentence. So he says here that the simple intention to give, which, as we have established, at least tentatively, is what gift is. It's at the most basic level, it's the intention to give. It's what separates it from common trade. So at this level, the simple intention to give already, insofar as it is indeed an intention to give, it's already, it contains already itself in itself a repayment, a return payment. In its most simple form, we can see it on the bottom line. The return payment comes in a form of gratitude, of what he calls auto-recognition. self-approval, and narcissistic gratitude. I'm a good person, he says, Derrida. I'm a good person because I give gifts. I don't even expect anything in return, and it makes me feel good. And that's the key word here, good. Because it's eventually the good, and the goods that keep on circulating in the economy. I give gifts, alms, for example, and the circle goes on. So, Derrida uses like half of the book, well not half, but like 1/5 of the book to say the same thing in different ways. So, I don't expect myself to do such a great job as to summarize it all up to you convincingly in such a short space. But this is basically what it says. That insofar as a person has an intention to give, they're already, by executing this intention, they're already giving themselves back. Because they know they are doing a good thing. Because the gift semantically involves the link to good. And this is what Derrida calls already a reimbursement. A circulation, a revolution, with a dash between re and evolution. So it's kind of a revolve. You get that idea. So he ends up questioning: is there ever a gift? So what gives? What? Come on, Derrida. Are you saying that okay, there are no gifts then? That it's simply an illusion, a simulacrum, a phantom, the gift. And there really are no gifts. No, he's not saying this. And, oh yeah, those eyes don't lie, by the way. They tell no lies. That's all I'm saying. By underscoring this, he says, referring to what I said previously, we do not mean to say, it's unclear to who the we refers to, we do not mean here to say that there is no exchange of gift. Again, the underlying of there is no exchange gift. So he's not saying that there is no gift, but at the same time he says the gift is not. And it's very tricky. It's very tricky. But the important thing is to say that he's not trying to say that there are no gifts. Because what we cannot deny is indeed the phenomenon. The gift as a phenomenon, in its phenomenality. And he is, for those who are interested in this, he's here referring to Husserl, yeah, thank you. And to other phenomenologists, to the phenomenologist tradition. So we can't deny this phenomenon, but what we must ask, what we must interrogate, as he says, is precisely this seemingly impossible being together of the symmetry, of the synthesis, of the circulation and of the gift. So it would seem that there is no gift, because intention to give contains the seed of return payment. It's already like giving yourself something, giving yourself, letting yourself know that you're a good person, giving a gift to yourself, but even give it to someone else. So there is that, but at the same time, there is gift. And here he says it perhaps most explicitly. This is the paradox, yeah. There is no gift without the intention to give or intention of giving. Well, that's pretty plain. The first thesis, first premise. However, everything stemming from the intentional meaning also threatens the gift of self-keeping, with being kept in its very expenditure. And this comes back to the self-gratitude and auto-recognition. And somehow these two conditions must miraculously, graciously agree with each other. Okay. So we're now starting to approach the finish, which is good because this week is killing me. Honestly, you can't believe how hot it is after rambling here for like about an hour.
Those of us who have 1 week know it's a pain.
It makes no matter, because we are really closing on the end. And I must warn you again, I claim no authority on Derrida either. But whatever I'm saying is, whatever I've said this far, everything I've said this far, I'm pretty certain I've got right. Pretty certain. Like, this is how it goes. This is the problematic he works with. Of course, I'm foreclosing or skimming over, neglecting all the other topics he discusses at the same time. That is time and event and impossibility. But the gift part, that's pretty much set. So, but how he proceeds from this point, from reconciling these two conditions, is somewhat of a mystery to me. Indeed. But that is precisely why we have ponies here. Wasn't that the whole point of this exercise? To try to have a relatively simple artifact, a means of trying to explain, to try to interpret Derrida. For Derrida does it help himself all the time. He uses stories to try to elaborate his own philosophical ideas. So why not reverse it? And why not reverse it with ponies? Why not? So I will now try to speculate a bit, to try to form a synthesis of, first of all, the problematic. I'm not trying to resolve it, no, not by a long shot, but I'm trying to synthesize the problem itself. What is really at stake here? And to do that, we must first of all very briefly recall or sketch the context, the actual academic context Derrida is working in. And we shall do it by invoking very worn out phrases like French structuralism and post-structuralism. But I think this is what is part, and this is what Derrida says actually explicitly. He said he's trying to criticize Lévi-Strauss, Lacan, Marcel Mauss, famous French structuralists. He's trying to criticize them because they neglect the gift. For example, Marcel Mauss and his book. Marcel Mauss was a famous French ethnologist. Basically invented ethnology in France. And his book, one of his books is titled The Gift, in which he discusses the phenomenon of gift in different cultures around the globe. And there he discusses Mauss's book and notes how Mauss says, at some point in the book, concludes that, according to Derrida says he does, that there is no gift. And this is what Mauss says. That because he recognizes that the gift, insofar as it includes it includes the condition that it must, the thing given must not come back to the giver. There is no gift, because there is only exchange. All the different examples of gift giving in primal cultures like potlatch of the North American Indians, it's not really about giving gifts, although that's what at first seems to be happening. It's not about giving gifts, it's exchanging goods. This is what Mauss concludes, along with some other structures, that really there is only exchange and economy and so forth. But what Derrida is trying to say, as the post-structuralist, he's usually labeled as, that there is, or he's trying to ask this question that the structuralists simply answer negatively, that is there a gift? And how to try to reconcile the seemingly two incomparable, incommensurable things. The intention to give with self-giving. While avoiding self-giving. So this is the background, or a sketch of a background like that. The thing about it which Derrida speaks is the secret of that about which one cannot speak, but which one can no longer silence. And of course he's referring here to Wittgenstein's famous wovon man nicht sprechen kann, darüber muss man schweigen. That is to say, how is it in English, of that which we cannot speak, or of which one cannot speak, one must pass over in silence. rephrasing that, reparagraphing. And that's what he's after. He's trying to speak of this, of that, what one cannot speak. The joke's getting rather old, yeah, I know. But I can't help myself. If you give because you must give, then you no longer give. Now, this is the time, along with the phony picture, that we return to the episode, to the ponies. Return to that. We already remember the first reading, which was pretty simple. Yeah, there's nothing wrong in saying that gift, as it stands, is the intention to give. The honest token of love, an expression of love. I showed you I really love you. That's all it takes to give a gift. A problematization. Why was Pinky so devastated after having fulfilled what seemed from the start her most important wish? Her first preference, first order preference, to give the best gift to her sister. She did that. Why was she so sad even after that? We know the canon, the party canon was so dear to him, her. I keep on mixing the pronouns. It was so dear to her, but still she was sad even after the summer period, even after she had seen how happy Maud was. And this, I believe, is because at the moment she is not only sad, but also happy. She's both happy and sad. Sort of sad happy. Because I think this moment in this story, in this episode, can be read as she is living at that moment when she's both sad and happy, for both having given, both having lost. She has both given, she has gained by that. Because she gives, she has also gained happiness, but she has also lost by giving her canon. You notice how these terms start getting mixed up. At that moment, she is both sad and happy because she has done what she wanted to do, but she also realizes she had to do it. She realizes she has done what she wanted, at the same time she had to do it. Which creates a paradox of happy and sad being at the same time. We could try to think this through, the known dilemma, philosophical dilemma, of asking if a person is in a room which they can't leave, but they want to be there. There's nothing else in the world they would like more than being in that room. Are they free? If they can't leave the room they want to be in, are they free? If Pinky had to do, she had to do. She was forced to do, and she was forced by the convention. Because it was not just her willingness to give the best gift, it was also the convention, because the convention, yeah, she says this in the episode, that, well, I simply have to give the best gift because you always give the best gifts to me. I felt this obligation, she says. She felt the obligation. They had to. But she also loved her sister. Obviously, she wanted to at the same time. What she wanted to do was to give the best gift. But what she came to realize is that she had to do what she wanted. And what this puts into doubt is that if she even gave a gift in the first place, did she actually give a gift? Did she really want to give that? If she had to do it? And it does not say that she did. I'm not saying that she didn't give a gift. And the gift being the honest intention to give. What she comes to doubt is indeed if she gave her anything other than, well, the thing. If she merely fulfilled her obligation, her duty. Yes, shocking revelation. No, where is that last one? Yes. We were saying, Derrida writes pretty much at the end of the book, we were saying that one can give only in the measure of the incalculable. Another very weird phrase, another seemingly paradoxical phrase that shouldn't by any rights exist. Because what is the measure of the incalculable? I mean, come on. So only, therefore, he concludes, Therefore, only an hypothesis of counterfeit money would make the gift possible. The counterfeit money refers to a story by Baudelaire. Yes, the French author whose Derrida is discussing it. But what is important here is only a hypothesis of something fake would make the gift possible. So how I read this is that only if there seems to be something fake, only if there seems to be something fake, a hypothesis of something fake, would the gift be possible. So only when we doubt if there is a gift, there is a gift. Okay, that makes no sense. but honestly, I had to spend some time. That was not a short while for this attire. Yeah. It probably consumed a bit of my actual work that should have been dedicated for this reading. But it's not an easy thing to do. In any case, because I wish to spare a few minutes for questions, if there are any. Because of that, I have to conclude that the sources. The pictures are incomplete. I probably missed a few screenshots, but I own no rights to any of the pictures. So, yeah, the Derrida book, yeah. I will conclude now, yeah. Hopefully you gleaned something from this. Are there any questions? I think we have some time.
Technically we don't, but I mean there is nothing after this. But maybe you could continue the conversation in the bar or something.
As it happens, unfortunately, as much as I love to stay, I have a train to catch.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm leaving I'm leaving to listen to Rammstein. So can't really
excuses.
I know. Slave to them. So, a few questions, please.
Yeah.
Are there any? Does anyone dare to try to make sense out of this mess? Yes, sir.
So when Derrida is sort of saying that that the sort of the happiness and the pleasure that you get from giving a gift sort of threatens the whole gift. Isn't he kind of just, picking up on Kant when Kant says that if you go to visit your sick grandmother and it's not the right thing to do if you start to feel happy about it. And you're only supposed to visit your sick grandmother because you're obligated to.
So if giving a gift makes you happy, it's not a gift anymore. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that sort of seemed to be half of what Derrida was saying, that the result of becoming happy sort of ruins it.
So it's only a gift, it's completely unselfish.
That's right.
Okay.
So is that what he's saying?
Yeah, that does.
Or does he talk about selfishness?
That does sound pretty familiar, and yeah, of course, the problematics Derrida is here presenting is not completely novel. Like as you mentioned, Kant already was on the right tracks when he said, well, of course, everyone knows that Kant was very big on duty, so no one should get any pleasure from doing anything, as long as they did their duty. Everything was set, and everything extra was if you did just for that extra, then you were pretty moral. But yeah, and that's kind of the problematics, the paradox. Because it seems very paradoxical, even that Kant that you shouldn't be happy about. But he does mention Kant and discuss Kant also in the given time. So yeah, I would say that it's on the right tracks, on the same tracks there. Other questions? I'm sorry, I can't really figure out. Yeah.
I think that from a layman perspective, it should be that when you have this genuine feeling of giving it without any other thing coming to you, then the feeling, the good feeling is your reward. And when you start to see it, when it is conventionalized, when it is you must give gift because now it's that day and it's the day of the exchange of gift, then you lose that sense because there is no gift anymore because it's exchanged. So maybe Kant and Derrida are going a bit too far, thinking that this good feeling is actually a reward.
Well, can't really blame Derrida for trespassing the limits of common sense because well, every philosophy starts with trespassing.
Yeah.
Other questions? I think, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to comment on this. It seems to me that there's this kind of like the problem of altruism or complete altruism. That if I do, can I ever do something that is completely altruistic, complete for some other person say? But what I actually wanted to ask or like give a notion is that okay, one way to see this is if like the pony character gives something that is very important for her. And is that, for that reason she is sad because she loses something that she likes. But for that it gives her opportunity to give a gift. Wouldn't that make that like perhaps she doesn't receive the happiness of giving the gift because she is sad. And so in that sense, in that episode, we could actually find an actual gift in a Tizian and Derridian way. What do you think of this notion?
Good point. Really, yeah, that is a good point, and it showcases that there really should be more time to get through all the gifts and non-gifts that were given between the story, O. Henry's story, and this episode, because there are more than just one. And the question, what is the gift of the mortified? Well, that's left completely unanswered here. But yeah, the thing about Derrida in general is that he's he's always multiplying when he reads something. He multiplies the readings to the point where they seem to contradict all each other. Like, all the stories seem to contradict each other, and there's always another reading. But yeah, that's one among the better ones, I should think. I think one more question?
Yeah, there was a question by the, okay, he doesn't want to ask anymore.
Okay, fair enough. I think we've done it. At least I
Yeah,
have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.